What's up, garden friends? Welcome to another episode of AJ's Green Thumb. So, as it goes, in the middle of winter, nobody really wants to go outside to do any work. So, why not get some seeding done? So, today, I'm doing some winter sowing, which I'll transport all of these jugs outside and then follow up with some direct sowing outside. So right here, all you see me doing is tracing where I plan on making my cuts. So with these jugs, you need to reserve about 4 to 5 inches, as a reservoir for your soil. So here I'm just simply using a very sharp knife to go ahead and make my cut. A little bit of a struggle there. These plastic jugs are quite thick, so it was a little bit of a battle here, but I won in the end. So what you do is you cut to where you leave about an inch or so that you can make a nice hinge. All right. So all I'm doing here is just repeating the process. So I particularly like the jugs that has a little handle because it's nice and convenient. It's nice and convenient for you to open and close with that. So do not put the cap on the top because you want to make sure you have entrance for your moisture, your water, your snow, and so on and so forth. You're going to go ahead and tape around where you cut the preparation, and that's going to seal and keep this as a unit, as a greenhouse unit. So the reason you have this hinged apparatus is so that you can access your plants, once they've germinated and they're little seedlings. So here I'm using a soldering iron to make my holes, my drainage holes. I just think it's such a convenient tool. I don't have to use a knife. I don't have to drill holes. Just simply use the heat gun. So I make a whole bunch of holes because in my climate, I have a lot of moisture. The climate's it's a relatively wet climate, and so I have to provide a lot of drainage holes. So I put about 7 to 10 holes at the bottom of each container. Perfect. So I'll just repeat the process. All right, so here's all my seeds. How organized am I, huh? Yep, just a simple box with envelopes for dividers. Real simple. I know I can be a little more sophisticated with how I handle my seeds, but that's for the future. For now, this works. So I just came back from the nursery and I bought a whole bunch more seeds. Some great selections. I went to Patuxent Nursery, which is in Bowie, Maryland. Here I've got Lombada Bee Balm. Can be started indoors 6 to 8 weeks prior to planting outside. These are great to be winter sown. So I'm doing some bee balm. Okay. I'm gonna do a bunch of columbine. All right, this one here is called Blue Star. Large blue petals with contrasting white centers. Great for cutting. It's a perennial in zones 4 to 8. Now, it may take a full year before it blooms, but I've had success with prior winter sowing columbine, and it bloomed that first year after it germinated via winter sowing. So anyhow, Blue Star, McCanna Giants blend, Barlow's double mix, and also some Winky blue and white columbine. Beautiful structure and a beautiful color. Next up, I've got 2 types of foxglove. One's called Foxy. Love this name. Foxy Foxglove. And the other one is called Excelsior. Great additions to a cottage garden. They roughly get between 2 to 6 feet tall. And this one right here, the Hollyhock, black Hollyhock, I think it's going to be a striking addition to this cottage garden. Satin black petals. It's really going to be an awesome backdrop to the border. Right here, I've got some milkweed. Now, I'm not going to winter sow these today, but I will add these to the garden come spring. I might just go ahead and winter sow them at another date. So I've got 3 varieties here. This one here is showy milkweed, and this other one here is swamp milkweed. These are great for pollinators. I'm telling you, if you want to attract monarch butterflies in your garden, definitely get some milkweed. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get these labels together. So they're basically just paint stir sticks. You get a 30 pack at Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever. So these I will use inside the jugs when I'm winter sowing. And I'm also going to go ahead and throw a few of them outside. All right, for my soil mix, I'm going to go ahead and use a 50-50 mix using Miracle Grow seed start and potting mix. All right, it's very airy and suitable for optimum root development. And this will be the other half, Happy Frogs potting soil. It contains mycorrhizae and humic acid. So it's good for both indoor and outdoor use. It's really effective at holding moisture, which we'll need over the winter so that these seeds can germinate properly. And then to provide a little bit more extra moisture, I'm gonna go ahead and throw in a little bit of vermiculite. So, you know, vermiculite's really good for providing more drainage. It provides better moisture retention capabilities in your soil media. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of this in there as well. gonna fill soil up to the rim, okay? Compact it slightly. All right, do a little more in there. Pour a bunch of seed out. Now, try not to be too liberal. Just enough. Just enough. So with Columbine, you really don't need to bury the seeds because they require a depth of an 1/8 inch. So I'll just sprinkle some dry seed mix on top. All right, because they do need light to germinate. So this right here is basically your portable greenhouse, your portable mini greenhouse. All right, close the lid. Make sure there isn't that much dirt around or moisture, and then you go ahead and tape it shut. So I tape it shut from the back. Okay. Like that. Then I stick my label in the inside, like that. See that? I'll try it this way this year. Last year, I used a little label maker, and I may end up doing that if I start seeing the writing starting to fade or whatever. I'll go ahead and throw some ready-made labels on there. So that's really it. Simple as that. Not much to it. All right, garden friends. So that in a nutshell is winter sowing. I just wanted to touch on it briefly. More importantly, I wanted to go over some of the varieties of perennials that I had wanted to winter sow. Because I always think that's exciting. I had to hunt for all of those foxgloves that I showed you guys earlier. So I got what I wanted. I'm gonna go ahead and throw those in a relatively inconspicuous space in the garden, but you do have to make sure you get sufficient sunlight and it's exposed where you can get sufficient rain or snow, some type of moisture, so that the seeds can go ahead and germinate. All right, guys, so I'll see you in the next segment. So I'll just go ahead and set all those bottles right here. It gets great evening sun, midday sun, afternoon sun, and exposed to the elements. So it should get sufficient moisture in the form of snow, rain, sleet, whatever. All right, so in this messy area of my U-shaped veggie bed, I'm gonna go ahead and direct sow some hollyhocks. I've got one right here. I think this is Chatter's double mix. overwintering in this pot. So presently in this bed, I have a lot of leaves, a lot of debris from crops from the past season, such as the lima beans, the squash, and so forth. So that's great organic matter that will serve as a mulch and also a compost material, which can provide nutrients for the new seedlings in the early and late spring. So a few varieties I have. I've got Indian Spring. Okay. It's an heirloom. It says regal tall spires of old-fashioned single blossoms look striking against a fence or wall. Long bloom period. So I'll go ahead and put a picture of this up on the screen, and it kind of emotes a feeling of a cottage garden or an old English cottage garden. So I'll go ahead and throw a few of those in the back. One that I think is really striking is a black hollyhock. It's also an heirloom. I'll throw a picture of that on the screen. Rich, satiny blossoms on stately spires will make a statement in your perennial garden. Deep dark purple or nearly black flowers make a striking contrast to those with lighter colors. Very hardy and drought tolerant. So these get to be between 4 to 6 feet tall, and I'll put these in the back of the border. These Indian Spring get to be, let's see, 5 to 8 feet tall. So they're pretty tall. They're all tall. This one here is called Chatter's Double Mix Colors, which was what was in that pail right here. They're a hardy perennial, and it will overwinter with no problem. This one here is bright, giant, fully double flowers in a range of rose, salmon, white, and red. Blooms cover the entire height of the stalk. Flowers attract hummingbirds. So I'll throw another picture of this up on the screen. It's called Chatter's Double Mix Colors. And these get to be between 4 to 5 feet tall. So once these germinate, I'm gonna go ahead and transplant them in the early spring. So of course I made some stakes. This one right here is the Chatter's Double Mix. Put those in the front. Double mix in the front. Double mix in the front. Indian Spring in the middle. And the black, I'll put those further back. So it's starting to get a little dark. Let you guys see what the hollyhock seeds look like. They're like flat discs, and they need to be planted at 1/4 inch deep. Put the labels in. All right, do the same for over here. The ground is frozen. So next up is the Indian Spring. Nothing glamorous about this at all. Just sprinkle some dirt on top. You'll get most of the seeds. So one last thing I want to do before it gets pitch dark is sow some poppy seeds. Now's the perfect time to go ahead and sow poppy seeds. Again, I'm in Zone 7A and I'm in the Mid-Atlantic in Southern Maryland. So some areas where I definitely want poppies to come up would be right here in front of these two fences that also has the, I think these are roll doll roses. I'll go ahead and throw a link of that video that I had actually created this bed and planted those roses up. So what I do is I'll go ahead and scratch the surface. I'll show you real quick. So to prepare the surface for the poppy seeds, I just go ahead and scratch the top of the surface. So let's say I want to put a few right here. So I just lightly rake the surface, all right? And in this case over here, I'd like to sow this one called Poppy Z-Scape. I'll throw a picture of it on the screen. And it's really simple with poppies. See how tiny the seeds are? So you literally just sprinkle the seeds in the targeted area. I have a leftover pack of Poppy California Mikado. This looks like it'll be a nice contrast. So I'll go ahead and finish off this packet. I'll put a few of them over here so they can blend in with the Z-Scape. And then I'll go ahead and repeat the same thing at the front of this fence right here. I've noticed there really isn't that many in a packet. So we'll put some Mikado over here, California. That's it. So right over here, under Lady Limelight, I'll go ahead and throw a bunch. I've got Shirley English Poppy right here. Hungarian Blue. That's a beauty right here. And lastly, this Oriental blend. So I'll just go ahead and make a huge mass of poppies in this area. Hungarian Blue right here. So there's my marker right here. And again, really simple to sow poppies. Sprinkle it just like that. Now, clearly in the spring, you'll see a bunch. And then you'll have to go in there and most likely separate a few of them. But having them bunched up like that is a nice look too. So right here at the corner is the Shirley English poppy. And right here, I'll go ahead and repeat. You see the marker right here? I'll go ahead and repeat the Hungarian blue. That way you have a little rhythm or pattern with your groups of poppies. All right. And last but not least, the Oriental blend. All right, guys, so this is a wrap. Thanks for hanging with me on this episode of AJ's Green Thumb. I basically went over some winter sowing of a few perennials. I think perennials are very successful at being winter sown. I showed you all the varieties, and I also showed you the process that I use to winter sow. I'll go ahead and put a link of previous videos that I've done on winter sown, and I also have a playlist that's called Winter Sown you guys can refer to as well. Wish me luck on today's direct sowing of the poppies and the hollyhocks in the U-shaped veggie bed. Until next time, this is AJ's Green Thumb.